Hey,
Hi, Mike. Good to see you. Happy
yeah, good to see
Friday.
you too. Happy Friday.
Yeah. Thanks so much for jumping on live with me. It's
No,
really a treat
no,
to have you
no,
here.
no, very exciting.
Yeah, I'm such a fan of your work, and
Well, thank you very much.
really fun to get a chance to share with some of our audience. um, I thought I'd share. Hopefully, everyone saw this earlier this week. We profiled, pardon the backwards looking text with the camera, but I am a huge fan of your book, Sketch Now, Think Later. I love everything about it, Mike. It's like compact, it's got this great elastic, and you break it down in this just really accessible, like approachable resource, that you can just dive in and out of. And I just love it.
Thank you, thank you. It's exciting to hear. Yeah,
And I thought there's something maybe you could share with everyone that I really
sure.
like. And, maybe what we should do is this might be a little easier to see over my overhead camera, but you've got these great little graphs in your book
Mm-hmm.
that talk about like the relationship of your time versus your energy in
Yes.
deciding what to sketch. That you either have, time or energy, and how do you balance a lot of time, low energy, or a lot of
Mm-hmm.
energy, low
Mm-hmm.
time? Do you think you could describe that a little and how you kind of explored that
Sure. Yeah,
in your work?
actually have that little chart over here too. So maybe I'll switch over to my overhead camera too.
Perfect. All right, here we go.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see if I could get it
Just
down
flip that
here.
camera around.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Oops.
always hard to get the right angle of this. Never know. Let's see.
There we go.
Let's see.
Here, I'll pull this up here while we
Mm-hmm.
wait for you to get that straightened out. Now that the text is
Mm-hmm.
forwards, lots of time and little energy, little time and
Yeah.
lots of energy. Oh, there we go.
Okay, I think this is it. Yeah. So can you see this
Yeah, if you
the
wanted to
scene
rotate it, let's see, clockwise just a little bit.
clockwise a little this way?
There we go. That's looking a look there. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Alrighty. All right. So this is my time energy chart. So yeah, it's as you go down to the left here, it's little of the time and energy, and as you go outward, it's more time or more energy. And how this started was that I noticed when I was sketching, um, it really wasn't just about time. It was about how willing you were and how much passion you had, and really it just came down to the energy level. So I noticed that there were times I was sketching often and other times I wasn't as much, and so it kind of broke down into these four segments. And it's a combination of either the little time or the little energy. And so I try to break it down into understanding, what you should do, or what, for me at least, this was when, if I had little time with little energy, I said, don't even try because it just really wasn't, worth the time because what came out of it wasn't as exciting, and it wasn't fun to do.
Hmm.
But also the extreme of that is having lots of time and lots of energy. And for me, that wasn't either a good thing too. I'm a tend to be a procrastinator in a sense of if I don't have a deadline for my day job too, I have a hard time completing a lot of things. And it seemed to do with sketching too, where the limited time actually was what turned out to be a really good thing because there's a deadline. And
Yeah.
in sketching in a urban in a real life situation, it also was a good thing because situation changes a lot. If you're sketching people in a cafe, people move. or if you're sketching a car, it might drive away, so you just never know when something is going to end. So it actually turned out to be a good thing in that sense. So that was kind of my the three things about the about the time and energy. So that was my
Well,
chart here.
I love that because I
Mm-hmm.
also think, I personally think a lot about deadlines as useful
Mm-hmm.
tools, that
Mm-hmm.
setting a deadline, whether it's a timer or just
Mm-hmm.
some sort of little goal,
Yep.
can help with what I often think about. And I think it's a concept I remember from, I don't know, high school chemistry or something, but
Mm-hmm.
the activation energy, that sometimes there's this bigger push to get
Mm-hmm.
activated. And then once you're going, you know, you get
Mm-hmm.
that flow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So having, I don't know, if even sometimes having low expectations of just making marks on paper and then getting yourself going. Um, yeah, yeah. Mike, would you share some of your, maybe some of your background and tools with getting started sketching? I know you have a design background and,
Sure. Yeah. So, yeah, my background is in design, industrial design, and that's how I was passionate about things in 3D. So making things with your hand, and I was really excited by the fact that there was even a profession called industrial design. When I was studying, it wasn't very common back then, but it's about creating things for mass production. So things you see in your house that are mass produced are usually industrial designers are working on it. But so that's there. I actually learned design skills and also drawing skills. Was to be perfectly honest, I didn't like drawing. I'm probably one of the the rare examples of people that draw a lot, and that I actually didn't draw or growing up, or I don't remember drawing growing up. All I remember is if attempting to draw as a child and not doing a good job at it and just giving up. So it was something I learned later in my life, and
mm-hmm.
it came actually after I graduated design school, and I had a full-time job, and I needed to convey my concepts and thinking visually faster and more efficiently. And I wasn't very good at that. I was able to make things, in the computer and take more time to do it, but like a quick doodle sketch kind of for communication, I wasn't good at that. And that's how I got started drawing daily, where I carried a sketchbook all the time, and I drew anything and anything in sight. And after doing that in like coffee shops and places, it actually started turning into a passion of mine. Of so
Yeah, sketching's a little addictive. You can start to get hooked on it if you've got your tools with
yeah,
you. And yeah, you've got a
yeah,
pretty compact kit you generally carry around too in terms
I
of.
do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is a pouch I carry a lot, or actually, this is the only pouch I carry. It's a waist pouch like this. So actually snaps on to your waist, and it has well, this is pretty much 100% of my tools. So I have my watercolor kit here, and I've also recently started carrying this.
Oh man, that sticker is cool, and you've got a pin too. I love your
Yeah,
logo.
yeah. So
Oh,
that's
I want one.
and regarding the pens, I mean, I could definitely go over the pens I carry, but a majority of these, actually, a lot of these are white pens. So like these here are white gel pens and acrylic pens. I have some brush pens, some ballpoint. And this is actually pretty cool too. I use this a lot, but it's a felt tip, but you could fill it with your own ink. So
Oh, cool,
that's
but a felt
yeah,
tip.
yeah.
Oh,
But it's a felt tip. So I use my favorite Noodler's ink in that one there.
that's sweet. Do you know who
Um,
makes that? That felt tip
yeah.
refillable?
So I bought this in Japan, but it actually is produced by actually if you go to Jet Pens,
Mm-hmm.
they sell it. They sell it there.
Oh, very cool.
I don't remember the name of it in Jet Pens though, but I recently, but it's in here it says fluid writing is the
Uh-huh.
name of this, but yeah, it's been really nice. This is my second one. My first one started to leak a little bit when it started getting warmer,
Mm-hmm.
but so that's my second one there. And then I have these, which are, yeah, I think a standard staple for a lot of sketchers, the water
Yeah.
brushes. I have a little spray mister. And then some other tools that I don't use as much, but I carry. I have a little pencil thing I carry, a little eraser.
Did you sharpen
Um,
your eraser? I like the little point on that.
and I actually didn't. It seemed like it was after using it, it got to be this way. Yeah, this is one of my favorite little things. Yeah, oh yeah, I got this in Portugal when I first went there, but it has a little um, pencil sharpener built into it.
Oh, that's
Faber-Castell.
beautiful.
Yeah, and it
Oh,
protects your
built-in
pencil.
sharpener. Very cool.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's also a pencil protector.
Oh, that's brilliant, Mike. I love it.
Yeah,
I haven't.
yeah,
I'll have to look
yeah,
for one of those.
yeah. These are really nice. Yeah, I think they still sell them.
Hmm.
And then this is something I carry too. This is a one color watercolor palette. It's actually pretty cool. Yeah, and yeah, I have for when I have time, I actually use a water brush. So I have one water brush, a Da
Hmm.
Vinci, and I have a backup Fude pen too. So
Hmm.
this is my other pen that I don't use as much, but this is the pen that I probably use like 90% of the time.
Which is that one?
This is the same brand. It's a Sailor pen. It's a Fude pen,
Hmm.
and it's got the bent nib. And so yeah, this I think I had the pen tip adjusted twice. So I sent it
Uh-huh.
back to Sailor, the manufacturer, and
Oh,
they have a lifetime guarantee for the pen nibs. So you could actually send it to them and they'll adjust it for you. But
oh, cool.
yeah, so it's a really cool company. But the one thing what's not good is if you live outside of Japan, they don't service very well. So you actually have to be in Japan and send this. I go through my in-laws and I have them like send it there and stuff. So that's
Do
the only
you do you use
thing.
a piston, a filler for pump for your pens or cartridges?
I
I
do.
just picked up a Fude and I haven't bought my noodle or ink yet. I need a waterproof one
Yeah,
before I really.
I do not. But here's something I use. Let me show you. Where do I have it? Let's see. Oh, look at that. I just recently cleaned my desk and I'm having a hard time finding things.
Ink converter,
So
converter.
yeah,
That's the word I
yeah.
was looking for.
So this is one of my favorite things. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
No.
It's called a traveling ink pod. But
Wow.
you could actually I don't know if you could see it, but
Uh-huh.
it's you could actually fill it in with your ink. And what's really cool is that it's got this tapered top. So I would stick my pen in there, flip it upside down, and fill it in with ink, and it won't
Oh,
spill.
that's really cool.
Yeah,
What an
it's
appealing looking object too. Speaking of design.
yeah. So I have a few of these, but I carry them around. I've gotten to a point where I could actually fill a fountain pen ink standing up while I still have a sketchbook book in my hand and not spill anything. So,
You've had a
yeah.
little bit of practice.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of practice on that one. So yeah, yeah.
I saw
Mhm.
one question about your bag. Do you remember who made your bag, or was it something you picked up some years ago?
This one here.
Mm-hmm.
So this is another one, which is it was made by an artist in Japan, and she only took orders through calling. So yeah, it's kind of hard to order online. But it was one thing I can share is that this person makes these bags, these custom bags for people that are in the like a hair salon business kind of thing. So it's
Mm.
actually made for scissors and combs and stuff to go in there. And
Uh,
yeah,
Beautiful kind of complementary
yeah,
industry. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So that's kind of yeah. And oh yeah, I had two more things. I carry like the Moo business cards and also a hair clip. This is what I use for clipping the paper from kind of flipping around in the wind.
Oh,
So
that's great big one too. I love it.
yeah.
Yeah, I either do
So
little clips or I have some money clips
oh
that
yeah, yeah,
I have tucked
yeah,
away somewhere.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
So
Oh, what a fun
mhm.
collection, Mike.
So that's my full collection right there.
And I love in your book something that you
Mhm.
emphasize is just keeping, when you go out, kind of your tools simple. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted to share with you
Hmm.
the inspiration. I got your book probably about 2 years ago, right before I did a residency, or not a residency, a sort of a guest trip with NASA to a rocket launch. And some of you may have seen this before, but
Hmm.
you inspired me to just carry like one palette, a water brush, and one of my favorite pens, this carbon black,
Oh yeah, yeah, oh
and
yeah,
to just
yeah.
go for it. And I sketched a lot of things that were uncomfortable for myself.
Hmm.
And you really gave me some inspiration there, and just kind of throwing, see if I can find an example here, throwing pen on paper, and enjoying the whole documentary process. And I tend to be kind of a landscape person and often work a little bit
Hmm.
slower. And anyhow, I wanted to say thank you for that
Oh
inspiration, because
no,
I had a
no, no.
blast and filled a whole sketchbook. And just having that pen and jumping straight into watercolor with that, and sort of a different approach to the page that you helped inspire me. So thank you.
Oh no, 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 not a problem. Oh, that's great to hear. Yeah.
um, yeah, well, I'm curious. One thing I'm curious about is I've just picked up some gel pens recently and have started playing with these. And I wonder if in our demo today, you might enlighten us a little bit how you like to use them. They're super fun, and kind of
Yeah.
I love experimenting with new tools.
So gel pens, yeah, no, these are awesome. For the longest time, I used to just carry this one gel pen,
What
which is the
size is
gel,
that?
which it's the '08.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's my favorite size. For my sketch size, it's been working good. Um, I carry two because they tend to like stop working.
Mm-hmm.
They're really finicky. One thing I learned is that after you finish using it, you have to like cap it right away, or it just
Mm-hmm.
starts drying up.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's why I carry two. I kind of bounce them around. But then recently, I started adding in another pen that's been working super excellent, which is this Posca, the Uni. There, it's an acrylic pen.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's a poster marker kind of pen. These run out quickly, but just for highlighting, they work really nice. It's a
Yeah.
super, yeah, it's a super white, and it goes on top of a lot of even like dark or even light colors. It tends to go on.
Oh, I'll check
And
it
another,
out.
yeah, so these are very, recommended. And this is one I carry. I don't use it that much, but it's actually been nice when I carry it. It's a Faber-Castell one. It's a white, but I use it mostly as like an overlay kind of thing. So it just adds a little gloss at the top,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and which is very different than adding a really solid white.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's kind of what I use for the whites.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I found with these ones, I've just been playing with, final bright details,
Hmm.
and I like that they're acid free too, so you get an archival mark out
Yeah.
of them. There's one more thing too I've been curious about, because you were posting
Hmm.
some photos of the pocket palette you've been playing
Okay.
with,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you fit a sponge in it. And Mike, I have never seen anyone do that before. How's it working?
Well,
Show me how. And,
so I
and
mean,
where did you get? Uh-huh.
well, so my standard palette is this left one here, and this is what I've been using for years. And the reason why I have a sponge in there is so like many of us, to clean your brush. But I usually like watercolor standing up, so I don't have
Yeah.
a lot of like things to maneuver wise in terms of having a rag or a paper towel or something.
Yeah, I usually end up with
So
one kind of gripped in my hand.
oh yeah, 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 yeah. So you could do the the grip thingy and stuff, but it's always nice having it as a backup just in case a sketching opportunity comes up and you don't have all the tools. So I would have a very thin layers of two sponges, and what's been nice about this is I could flip it, which means I could have
Hmm.
four sides to work off of in terms of
Mm.
cleaning the brush. So and when I rinse these out in water, I mean maybe like every 2 3 months or something. It's pretty
Uh-huh.
rare. I mean they
Uh-huh.
hold a lot of ink.
Ah, what a cool
So
trick. Where do you
yeah,
get those thin sponges, or are you cutting them from something larger?
yeah, I am cutting them. They're actually made for painting.
Mm-hmm.
So you've probably seen those sponges where they're all compressed and you add water to it and they get bigger
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah, so if you look online on Amazon and look up like an artist sponge, I think there's a name for it. I could
Uh-huh.
share it later on, but
Oh, I'd
they're
love
pretty
that.
common.
Oh.
And so, yeah, so that's where these come from. And so it was a no-brainer when, when I got to try out your palette. It's, I mean, I wanted to do what I'm used to using. So, I just cut out a sponge and put it in here. I haven't used it that much yet, but it's been really nice.
Oh,
So,
so great. Oh,
yeah.
well, I'm gonna try
Hmm.
making one of those this weekend now.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, you put together a really fun art project for us to do as a demo that I think I want the recipe for. It looks like you and your wife made like the most delicious pancakes this week.
Yes, yes. Well, it wasn't me and my wife. It was my wife. And so,
Uh-huh.
yes. So we were talking about the idea, how we were originally throwing around ideas of, donuts or, things like that. And it turned out to be, really wanted something a little more colorful and more shapes and things to share. So then she suggested this pancake. She's been hooked on trying to make or perfect these pancakes, which she calls it like the super fluffy pancakes. They're really, really fluffy, like nothing I've seen before. And yeah, that's where it comes from. Yeah.
And what I love about this is you do a lot of food sketches, and I mean I get hungry sometimes looking at your sketches because you're going out and like going to your food trucks, and it's
Yeah.
like you're like not just sketching the food, but in a lot of them like you're sketching some of the process.
Yes. Well, um, I try to capture, what's out there. So some recent ones are, this was a birthday dinner. It was my wife's birthday, but I think I enjoyed it more because I had the opportunity to draw all these. And like a hamburger shop that opened up in our area, really good place. Um, where sometimes, it's I'm trying to capture what had happened there. I mean, this one was a really simple burger. It's like your most traditional, burger you could ever see, and it was just really good. So I'm trying to capture like why it was so good, or things like that. And then there are things like the uh, the taco truck and the tacos that were there and stuff like that. So.
And food with sketching, it's
Hmm.
something we encounter all the time, whether at home or right
Hmm.
now, if we've got some spots we can eat outdoors or indoors, if
Hmm.
depending where we live, or all these great food truck options. And
Hmm.
it's such a great time to take advantage of some fast sketching.
Yep. Yep. No, they're fun, especially if you don't have the time in your day to sketch. You always have to eat, so yeah, I recommend giving it a shot, giving it a try.
So with your ultra fluffy pancakes that
Yes.
I'm like hankering to try this weekend. You put together, and it's linked to from our bio right now, the Art Toolkit bio. Um, you put together this really cool PDF going through the process because we can't all cook together, and I love this because you're really bringing to life some of this process to give us some inspiration. And maybe we could dive in, and you could talk about some of your process, how you might approach sketching and laying out a page like this, and I'll tag along a bit. Oh, whoop, just lost Mike. We'll get him back in one sec. Let's see here. Here we go. Hey there, I think we got you back now.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I just got cut off a little bit.
No
Yeah.
worries. I was just saying, maybe we
Yes.
could start diving in, and you might walk us through your process, and I'll do my best to follow along. And if anyone else watching wants to sketch along too.
Okay. Sorry, I just missed that last part of the conversation, but we're talking about the process here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So the process, the PDF sheet, it captures the process of it has the ingredients, all of the ingredients, and it's broken down into a couple of sections. One is the whipped cream, which is shown to right next to the ingredient section.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the part about the dividing up the egg yolk and the egg white. Then there's two sections there of one is the egg white mixture and then the egg yolk mixture, which is in the red boxes in the middle there. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward kind of process of making this pancake, but it's there's a lot of small steps, and I think my wife's was made a number of these attempts to try to perfect it. It seems like it's all in the timing and also the cooking of of the plate and how slowly it needs to be cooked, and or it just won't get that super fluffy.
So let's imagine we're in the kitchen together now, and yeah, diving in with our pens.
All right, so I'm trying to. It's I still haven't mastered or gotten to this point of like what is the perfect angle. I want to get the sketchbook and the palette in place.
Yeah, during this whole lockdown, I feel like we've all definitely gone through a lot of learning curve.
Yeah,
with
right.
all
Seriously,
our digital sharing.
yeah.
Sure been fun though.
Okay, so yeah, my standard process is usually I go right into it. So if this pancake was right in front of me, and I had a sketchbook, I would just start drawing right away. But I'll talk a little bit more as I try to do this. I also haven't drawn this yet, so I'm having to make it up, which is pretty much what. But just to explain a little bit of how I draw. Actually, most things is that I like to draw from things that are up front, going backwards. And for food sketches like this, where I know I'm going to add or I want to add things later on, especially the process, I'm thinking about having the final food in the middle here, and we'll go into the watercolor and finish that up. But later, and I'll explain how later on I would add in the process of showing the ingredients and kind of the steps to creation. So yeah, I'm gonna go right into it. Let's see. Some of the hardest things is, for me at least, is the scale of things. It's like how big should I do something? So a lot of times I would just be air drawing a little bit. I do a few of these and go like, okay, and then I could be totally wrong, but I kind of go into it. So, and from here, I think I'm gonna just start drawing.
Awesome. And I see a couple comments. I want to remind everyone that you can watch Instagram Lives on a desktop. So the comments then show up on the side of the screen and you can get a bigger screen. So I know on a phone, the comments can sometimes be in the way and hamper that a little bit. So that's an option if you're noticing any of that. Okay, I'm going to catch up on my pancake here. Tasty, tasty pancakes.
Yeah.
I love in your work too that you just really emphasize the practice, experimenting and having fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, you could overthink anything and not get anything done. And especially when you're drawing because you want to, and it's such an enjoyable thing to do. It's just great to just keep it fun and just go for it.
Do you have a favorite restaurant or meal in your town? You've made like a food map of your town.
Yeah,
no, cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There was a food map. Yeah, that's in a town down south of here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's in South Carolina. But yeah, that was fun. That was actually really really cool.
Sounds like a fun project to do all the
Yeah,
research.
it was a fun project. Yeah. I mean, so there's a lot of times I'm drawing, and before I color, my wife would look at it, going, "It's like, what did you draw?" You know, it's so you might be thinking the same thing, where it's like, you know, sometimes especially my food sketches, because I want to eat, you know, they're really really rough. Um, yeah, I think I'm finished.
And you've mentioned too that like
Yeah.
with food and stuff, like in
Mm-hmm.
sketching,
Yeah.
it's fine to do your sketch and then add some of the color later. Like that's still
Oh,
true to the sketching process.
I think so. I really think so, and especially if it's hot food, it's you know, it should be enjoyed hot, and you know, out of courtesy for the people, the chefs that made it for you, kind of thing. I think you should enjoy it while it's hot.
We're not
And
suffering for our art here.
yeah, no suffering whatsoever. Yeah. So, and a lot of times I share food with my wife, so I can't keep her waiting too much. So you know, it's you know, like this one, it's you know, it's fairly quick. So I would go eat it right away. But yeah, I would take a picture, and a picture works as a good reference. But and you know, while I'm talking and looking at my line artwork, it really doesn't look like much. And sometimes I wonder myself too. But you know, I think I'd like to move on to coloring, if that's okay.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
such great advice you give, and I really embrace this in my own paintings and sketches, is that you should always see a sketch through. Just give it a chance, to trust in the process and, finish your page.
Yeah, I think that's really important because you know, if you didn't give a sketch a chance, you would just give up on it because of that one line you made a mistake or something. It's you know, in the grand scheme of things, after you complete it, and if you probably come back to that sketch later on, it's not going to bother you. You know, it's that
Mm-hmm.
you know, little things like that. It just won't bother you. But it's more of the experience of it that you remember more of. You know, completing that sketch and enjoying that meal and yeah, stuff like that. So
And at this point, would you
mhm.
typically dive in with color, or with, being in the midst of a process, or say at a restaurant, would you want to come in and add some other details to it, like around the perimeter?
So in terms of so if I'm at a restaurant and there was time, like it's a fairly relaxed restaurant. Nobody's waiting in line, you know, to get to your table, and you're not, you know, interfering with other people and stuff like that. Yeah, I'll probably eat it, and I might just stick around and might even start coloring. But in terms of like really fully finishing a sketch, you know, that's pretty rare. Like finishing, as in like adding annotation or notes and stuff like that, because that's a fairly left side of the brain kind of thing, where it's you know, it's fairly analytical, and it could be done later on too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, so but it's mostly time though.
All right, jumping in with some color.
All right, let's go for it.
Yeah.
So with color, yeah, I'm gonna take this for a test pen, and if I'm using at palettes at home, I like to have a you know, a rag or, you know, paper towel or something, but so I don't, you know, mess up the sponge as much, so I don't need to clean it. But the procedure has been that works well for me is that I would start out with the lighter colors and start going darker.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so in this case, I might add a little bit of this yellow because you know, that's kind of the color that's showing through. Um, and also a lot of the colors is I don't mix on the palette. That's why your palette's been working nicely because I don't really need the space for mixing. I do a wet on wet kind of mix or even a glazing type of coloring, where I wait for the color to dry. But I don't really wait for the color to dry in the sense that I'm going around the page and working on things as as they're kind of being developed. But
And that gives you some of that beautiful, I don't know, I always call it like the happy accident mixing of
yeah,
colors
yeah,
on the page
exactly.
combining. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I
Happy
think I read
accident.
in your book you like Holbein watercolors. I'm not as familiar with
Yes.
those, but I'll have to play with them a bit.
Yeah. Sorry about that. My cat
Yeah.
knocked down her little plate.
And would it be possible to lift your sketchbook a little higher in the screen?
A little higher, like this way.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Okay, got it. All right.
And also, what do you have a preferred paper or sketchbook you like to work on?
Yes. The paper I use pretty much all the time is a Stillman and Byrne sketchbook,
Mm-hmm.
and the one I'm using right now it's an Alpha series one.
Oh, those are fabulous.
Yeah,
I like the
they're
beta
not.
too. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. That's my favorite too. The reason why I go the alpha is my go-to is that it's it's a lot more pages than the beta. It's a lot less expensive too. So it's not as intimidating
Yeah.
as in like you could mess up and not waste a very expensive page of paper kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. We might
mhm.
have to bring the Stillman and Byrne into Art Toolkit. I've been thinking
Yeah,
about that.
yeah. No, they're great, really great. Yeah.
Do you have any go-to colors you really like to use?
So my entire kit is a Hoban color.
Mm-hmm.
And a go-to color, it's I find when I use it, I tend to use I just recently filled it up, so I can't really show you that I end up with like these big holes in my palette where I'm like using
Yeah, I can relate.
yeah, yeah. But I don't know what it is. I mean, this palette. I ended up with this palette because these are my kind of go-to colors. I think but a color I rely on a lot is Payne's Gray in this
Mm-hmm.
palette here, and also this color here. I should remember the color names by now. I only remember it by location. Hold on, I wrote it down in the book.
Well, I love that about a palette. As you use it,
Yeah.
you get to know the colors and the mixing becomes
Yeah.
more second nature.
Yeah, so I mean, I've kind of used this kind of order for quite some time. So, but yeah, I use a Payne's Gray a lot. Yellow ochre I go through a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what colors I go through a lot. The colors I don't go through a lot, I know that too. Like I don't use violet too much. Um, yeah, orange not as much.
Oops.
Yeah. But yeah, I think most other colors I actually go through it quite a lot. But
And
yeah,
with
this whole series of this 1 and 4, the yellow, light red, burnt umber, sepia. Yeah, I think I go through that quite a lot too.
your process, do you
hmm
always do pen first and then are you done with the pen, or do you sometimes go back and add in some
Um,
extra details or?
in this scenario, I rarely add it in. But let me show you another sketchbook that I carry. This is the beta series book I carry. And in this one here, I actually use the watercolor first. Then I go into adding ink
I
to
can see
it.
some of
So
those white pens on top too.
yeah, and then
Really
there's the
fun.
white pens and stuff like that. This is a very different way of working, which I've been enjoying a lot. That's why I have a whole book filled here.
Uh-huh.
This too. But this one I could only do when I have time because
Mm-hmm.
it usually takes an hour to do this, so I can't stop like right in between too. So
So it's that calculus you can do of time versus energy,
yeah, yeah,
deciding
exactly.
what sketchbook to use. Yeah.
hmm Exactly. So this would be another thinking process to add in
Mm-hmm.
that. Yeah. So this sketch, it's gone through like the first layer of, you start getting an understanding of, what you're actually coloring. then it's usually like the second layers that really makes things pop.
Mm-hmm.
So
Do you have any tips for people who, I feel like, you know, one challenge sometimes can be colors not looking saturated enough, or kind of like
mm-hmm,
developing a voice of sort of when to exaggerate color to really make
mm-hmm,
your sketches look lively. Do you have any thoughts there to share?
Well, that's a good question. Well, saturation really comes down to, how much ink you have on there.
Yeah.
So, um, I mean, if you had a lot of time, you could keep on building up layers after layers, and then, the colors would get a lot more intense. But in this case, one of the reasons why I stopped mixing. So when I learned to watercolor in the beginning, yeah, I did mix on the palette, like a lot of watercolorists would do. But I've noticed that my paint was starting to get muddy, or there's a
Mm-hmm.
potential to get muddy, and so that's why I stopped doing it. Also, I mean, not that I'm comparing myself to a really famous artist, but just as an inspiration, I was watching Charles Reed,
Mm-hmm.
the famous watercolor artist, and he was talking about not mixing paint and um, and using paint straight from the tube, kind of thing. And I'm like, wow, that's fascinating. Also picked up his tip of I don't know if he always did it or not, but when I use this brush, and when I use it in a watercolor kind of thing, I would just like fling it to get the wetness out of it. So to adjust the level of intensity, I would just be flinging the water brush. So I can only do this outside, but
Keeps
yeah,
bystanders a safe distance
yeah,
away
yeah,
from you.
exactly. So yeah, I can't do it indoors. Mhm.
Do you have any plans for a second book or any other projects
Um,
coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to work on the book about the sketchbook I just showed you, which is
Mm-hmm.
the starting out with the color, then going in with the ink,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, trying to get my head wrapped around that a little bit more to see if that's even possible. But yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
would love
Mm-hmm.
to. But yeah, there's been a number of books that I have started and never finished, kind of thing. I published a while ago about a hotel book. So it's all the hotels I stayed, and I would draw the room of the hotel by measuring. So it's a very different drawing than what we're doing here. But um, and I published one book of that, and there's been more places I stayed. So I was thinking about doing a follow up to that, but never had the chance to really do that. But
Something I love that you're illustrating is it's okay to have different styles and approaches as an artist, and you can sort of pick and choose what sort of voice to use, whether it's a direct watercolor approach or pen and ink or diving in or diagrams. And I think sometimes, you know, we might feel like we need to just get shoehorned into one style, but it's okay just
mm,
to have a few that you can bounce around between.
yeah, I think so. It's yeah, as long as it's you're true to it and you're enjoying it, yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, if you're, you know, just doing it to be different and you're not enjoying it, maybe not as much, but
I also always really like to think
hmm
about sketchbooks just as like a safe space for you to play.
yeah, no, it should be. That's the way it should be. Um, and try to remind myself that a lot too. But there's times where I'm like, ooh, maybe I should draw it this way, and it'll show up on Instagram easier, or it's like it was never the case before, right? When it was just for yourself. I mean, for the longest time, that I just drew for myself, and no one, I showed it to nobody. So yeah, it was definitely a safe place.
um, I love on your pages your stamp. I am
Oh,
curious
okay,
before we go if you can show your stamp, and then
sure. Let's see if I could find
You might
it.
have to post a link of where you got it because it is so cute. And I love that your pages all have them. It seems like this nice final touch.
Yeah, so here's my stamp. It's oh, here we go. It's a portable stamp. What's cool is that it pops out, and let's see if I could stamp it here.
And you do a date stamp too.
Yeah, so I have this stamp, and I do have a date stamp. That I can't find right now. I just cleaned up too much. But yeah, this is a stamp made by a company called Trodat. But oh, here we go. I bought it at rubberstamps.net. That's where I got it. So you would send them your artwork, and they would make this for you.
Oh, well, the date stamp and the your personal stamp always give things kind of an official touch.
Yeah.
Oh, I love how that's coming to life there with color there, Mike.
Yeah, I mean this one was actually a pretty hard subject.
So if we might go in and add, like a little bit of the narrative around it in just a few minutes, would you want to suggest kind of, I love your use of arrows or, circles.
Oh, sure,
to show your thought process. I love, you've got some design and intention. Your background as a designer shines through.
So this sketch here, I don't think there's going to be time but yeah, I'll just explain. This needs a lot more here. So it's missing more shadows, and it's really those small things that really makes it pop. And also the white gel pen and the use of the acrylic white pens and stuff, especially for like the powdered sugar at the top area here, stuff like that. That would really make this drawing pop more. But let's move on to the process here. So in terms of the what I would do here, and maybe I'll use my pencil to kind of give a idea what it could be. I think I would do a clockwise process here, where if this is kind of the finished one. Actually, let me take that back. I think it might be cool if there were things like there's the maple syrup here, so it might say like maple syrup. And forgive me, after I finish this, it might turn out to be completely different, but this is what I'm thinking right now.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, and this one here is actually the process of I might show that photo that I sent with the whipping cream, showing like this is the whipping cream, which is heavy cream plus powder, something like that, and there might be like these word bubble kind of things. But then the pancake part would actually be where it would be the ingredients. It would be the ingredients drawn like this. Then I would probably start out with breaking up the egg yolk, with the egg white and yolk white, and then I would go through the different procedures, probably something like this. But yeah, it takes a little bit of thinking about it in that sense, and size is an important one too, because I noticed even like doing this, I'm probably going to run out of size before or space to be able to throw in the cooking portion of it. So I'll probably adjust a little bit, but yeah,
cool.
that's how I would probably do it.
Well, you got me curious about the little touches on the pancake. If you have just a few more minutes before we go.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Actually, that might be a more fun one to finish off. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So the reason why my eraser is probably really, really pointy is I do this and I just go down into it and go, so it ends up to be this pointy. But yeah, I mean, I haven't needed too many erasers or pencils. But okay, let me pull up the drawing or the photo. So, what am I missing there? Um, photo. Okay, I'm gonna just add it. Start adding in a little bit of the shadows.
I always think that this final shadows and darks just help snap everything
Oh,
together.
it really does, because right now I'm looking at this drawing going like, ooh, this is an awful drawing. And it's really those last kind of things that makes it pop. Let's see. As well as the reds too. I tend to mix the different reds rather than sticking with the one color, which seems to make it pop.
Yeah, that mixing on the page.
Yeah. Now let's try to see if this white gel pen or this acrylic pen is going to work.
Oh, cool.
Let's see. Yeah, this is a lot of. I don't even know if this is the right way to do it. But let's see what happens.
Oh, look at that. I love how it just sits on top. I'll see if my number 8, I don't have a bigger one, but I'll see what I can do with my
Yeah, the jelly roll, that's going to be a hard one for this.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it's not, might be too fine, huh?
Yeah.
I'll sometimes use white gouache, but your pen is maybe a little faster even.
Actually, gouache might be better in this case here, but yeah, this is pretty tiring.
You've got some nice texture though.
But yeah, but it seems like it's working a little bit. You kind of get the point, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm gonna stop there. My hand's gonna start hurting. But I want to show you some things here. So this is a jelly roll, and this is what's going to make these blueberries pop. Blueberries are really about these highlights that are popping up, as well as the strawberries. I mean, it's really just a matter of these small accents that.
Oh, very cool. So you're just adding in those little bits of light on them.
That's it. It's but without them, these look like nothing.
And in the photo, you've got all these little sparkles. So that's what you're going in with the
yeah
pen?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's really fun.
Yeah.
It really does give it more sparkle.
Yeah, I mean, without it, it's and even for the maple syrup, there's a little bit of the highlight that's happening there. Stuff like that. So let's see if these will. Oh wait, maybe the jelly roll. Oh no, actually, it's pretty hard to.
I think you're going to get me hooked on these.
But yeah, so this needs a little more work, but I think it conveys what I'm trying to do here.
Well, it's got some fun texture and depth to it now, Mike.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, so where can people follow you and learn more about your work?
Well, I'm very. I think Instagram site is the place where I try to post daily. So I think that would be the best place regarding what I do.
And when the world opens up again more, you might be back to doing some in-person workshops. I've heard so much about your urban sketching ones you've done.
Oh, I would love to. So yeah, I get the most excitement out of in-person teaching and meeting people and yeah, drawing on location.
Well, Mike, I look forward to continuing to follow your work, and I really want to thank you for taking time to come on and chat and sketch with us today.
No, this was a whole lot of fun. Now I'm looking at this drawing and I have to finish, but yeah.
Well, please post it when you're done. We'd love to see how the final one comes together.
Yeah, I will post. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I just want to say thank you again, and everyone who joined us this afternoon and evening. Thank you, and yeah, Mike, we'll look forward to following all your projects.
Well, thank you. Yeah, this was a whole lot of fun.